Hello there, I am some dude, and this is a look at Bastion, specifically the all-weapons category of Bastion. This is a submission for SGDQ 2018, so if you're watching this, hopefully this video will pique your interest in the run, and hopefully you'll consider this game for the event. So, this is Bastion. It is an action RPG by Supergiant Games, who are also behind Transistor, which came out in 2014, and Pyre, which came out just this past summer of 2017. So this category of Bastion is all weapons, which just says to beat the game, but you have to beat the game having picked up every collectible weapon in the game that shows up in the arsenal. So notably, the battering ram is not part of these because the battering ram doesn't show up in the arsenal, but we have to pick up every other weapon in the game. And this is a pretty unique category. It's one of our newest categories. It's not even a year old quite yet, I don't think. And it's one of our more unique ones routing-wise. So it's a very interesting route, a very interesting category to me, one that I'm very excited about, and one that I'm really excited for you to see right now. So to get into some of the specifics of this game, you'll see that the kid is using mouse movement as we're going through. That is because not only does having mouse movement, using that kind of Diablo style of control, not only does it give you a little bit more control and nuance over where and how you move, but the algorithm for rolling in the game is actually a little bit bugged, and in such a way that rolling in mouse movement lets you move about 30% faster than you would in any other type of movement in the game. So just using mouse movement on its own lets you save like minutes over the course of any run of Bastion. So you'll see that there was like a tiny bit of spaghetti there, but that was mostly because the bow, when you pick that up, the Breaker's Bow that I just got, that actually, you can't interact with it until something like 1.2 seconds after your first input on that screen. So you kind of just have to like key smash for a little bit in order to make that bow interactable. So that was just like a little late for me. Anyway, we're getting to the barge here. This is the Wharf District. This is one of the starting kind of tutorial areas for the game. This is like one of the slower parts of the game, just kind of like standing on this barge, but Bastion as a whole is a very fast-paced speedrun. Outside of the odd cutscene, and in this category, just one auto-scroller, there's really not much downtime at all for this game. Every second you're either moving around, picking up a core, going through a level, doing some kind of trick, even in this hub area, the Bastion that we just got to. Right off the bat, as we get here, I'm going to be going over to Rux, talking to him, and as I click that first dialogue option, I scroll the mouse wheel, which is the interact key, which opens up the menu again, click the second option, and that allows me to kind of overlap cutscenes so that I can move during times that I shouldn't be able to. So that's the dialogue glitch right there, and as you can see, that allows us to go to the Skyway without even having to build a building, which is usually the case. You'll see in every other time we get to the Bastion, we will build a building whenever we put a core into the monument. For the first half of this run, you'll be seeing one of the major glitches of this game called core duplication. Every item in this game, cores included, when you interact with it, there's like a frame or two that the game doesn't realize that it's been interacted with before it gets rid of the sprite. So if you can interact on consecutive frames with that item, you can pick it up twice. And in the case of cores, cores are what drive what you can access in the game. So, you know, we're only a few minutes, we're only 4 minutes into this run. We've put 4 cores into the Bastion, out of 14 total that you need to complete the game. So we're going to be duping the first number of cores that we come across, but after a point we're going to stop duping those cores because we need to get to the rest of the levels in order to pick up the rest of the weapons. and the game will end as soon as you put the 14th core in, so we have to kind of stagger it after a while. We front-load it so that we can get to all the levels that we need to, though. Anyway, now we're entering the Hanging Gardens, and this is an area that has some wonky ground. This is a good time to talk about the ground, as I kill a turret off-screen with a power shot from bow and a machete swipe. So the ground, in some levels it's more forgiving than others. This is a less forgiving level, but because you're moving about 30% faster than you would normally, the ground isn't expecting you to be moving that fast, so it doesn't always catch up. So especially in a level like Hanging Gardens, you have to kind of carefully plan out how you move and where you move in order to not fall. Falling wastes about 2.5 seconds from just all the animations involved. So you want to make sure that you're falling as little as possible, and that requires kind of some carefully planned rolls. So we've hit a cutscene, a little bit of time to breathe. We're going to be building the forge right now. The building doesn't really matter here right now, but the rest of the buildings we build are kind of going to matter. Oh, sorry, we already built the forge. We are now building the memorial, and we're going to do a specific glitch in the memorial where we try and collect a vigil and also exit the memorial at the same time. And you'll see I get that first try. Usually there would be some text that pops up for a few seconds kind of explaining how vigils work. Basically the reason that we do that is to get enough money from that vigil in order to buy the special ability Pipe Vault from the Lost and Found a little bit later in the run. And so that's just a way to get out of the memorial a little bit faster. We're in Cinderbrick Fort right now. I've kind of been downplaying what weapons we have right now, but we're about to pick up the Scrap Musket. Back in Workman Ward, we picked up the War Machete. So now we have the Scrap Musket. We're going to be holding on to this for a good chunk of the run. We're going to let go of it around Mount Sand, I believe. So we just leveled up by duping that core. Level ups don't really matter much to this run. They're a little bit more important to categories like New Game, All Story levels. But when you level up, a little explosion happens around you, damages anything in the area. But that's not really applicable to this run. Anyway, we're about to get to the end of Cinderbrick. There's a whole battle that's supposed to happen there, but gates are optional. Doesn't matter. So anyway, we got to the end of Cinderbrick Fort doing that. We are now going to do a glitch called Pipe Glitch. By falling at the same time that we trigger a cutscene talking about Zulf's pipe, that'll allow us to move during that cutscene. And so again, overlapping cutscenes with putting cores in the monument, that allows us to move. That allows us to both put 2 cores in very quickly, as opposed to any other time that we'd be able to, and also move much quicker after that happens. So anyway, we're heading to Rothus Lagoon now. This is one of the tougher areas of the run, I think, at least. I just picked up the secret skill, Sneaky Decoy. That just gives you a little bit of a critical strike chance. Basically, it makes you invisible, and then your next hit will be a critical hit, which does, I think, a little bit more than double damage. Anyway, I'm being thrown all over the place by Queen Anne right now, and that allows you to just, like, skip over huge swaths of the level. And then I clipped into her arena, went over to the beginning area of it to trigger Queen Anne's appearance, and we are about to fight Queen Anne right now. So we're going to do that by taking advantage of the critical damage from the Sneaky Decoy. I did a little bit of spaghetti there. I threw down another decoy before I hit with the pike, so I gave up a little bit of damage there, lost some time on that front, but not a big deal. So, now that we're done with that, we're going to finally start putting some shards into the monument. The code of the game considers cores and shards to be the same thing, but for the purposes of shards, when you put those in, those will allow you to upgrade buildings. So what I'm going to be doing right now is upgrading the Lost and Found, and then entering it so that I can buy Pipe Vault, which was that secret skill I talked about earlier. secret skills allow you to do some pretty powerful stuff in the game, but they come at the cost of those black tonics that you saw up in the top left corner of the screen, which you'll see as soon as we get back into the level. We're heading into Prosper Bluff, which is going to be the first spot that we take advantage of Pike Vault, because it allows you to cross some gaps that the game doesn't intend you to be able to. So we're going to be seeing kind of how Pike Vault works right here. You jump into the air, land, and you get to move a little bit as you're heading out of the way. And you're going to see us break the game using Pike Vault. Go over a gap, go over another gap, easy peasy, end of the level. You're supposed to be like going through all sorts of gates, hitting all sorts of switches. Nah, we don't care about that. Just end the level. So that's going to be that's our biggest use of Pike Vault, is in Prosper Bluff. We will use it one more time to some use in Point Lemaine as a way to just kill an enemy a little bit faster, but that's the biggest use for Pike Vault in this category. There are other categories that just break Pike Vault wide open. But we're about to build another building. This is the distillery. We entered there in Wharf District, and I just equipped Ware Whiskey. That is a spirit that gives you just a passive buff that says whenever you go below 1/3 of your health, your critical strike rate goes to 100%. So you do a lot of damage using Ware Whiskey, but it comes at the expense of kind of being in some risky situations because you're only at 1/3 of your health. Anyway, I just picked up the dueling pistols. That's another weapon that we just got here. That's not going to be in my inventory for super long, but has some use there, just to get through those peckers. And that's the fight there in that area. Get that core. Notably, I did not dupe that core. And then we clip through some bushes, and we're heading right toward the end of the level. That's pretty much it. So, as you can tell by how out of breath I am, there's really not a whole lot of downtime between all of these levels. There's, this next level that's coming up is going to be kind of the first opportunity we have to lay back a little bit, chill. I can explain anything else that I haven't gotten around to just yet. And usually Point Lemaine is an opportunity that we have for either some donations or just some more explanation. Because Point Lemaine is the one auto-scroller that we go to in this category. There are a couple others in the game, but none of those have weapons in them. We have to go to Point Lemaine because it has the rifle in it, and we need to pick that up. So we're heading there right now. Point Lemaine is kind of interesting in that it's 3 pretty important tricks separated by 2 auto-scrollers right in between. So you're going to see that Pike Vault I was talking about to kill that wallflower. That's the only way to one-hit that wallflower, just given the weapon loadout we have. And I'm picking up the carbine right now, the army carbine, doing a gate clip by kind of rolling over those rocks right there. That's the first big trick of this level. And now we're into an auto-scroller. So usually we use this for donation time. I've done a couple marathon races along with Ian Synth, who currently has the world record, although I'm very close behind. I'm about to get it. And so we've taken this opportunity to just hang around, talk a little bit, hear some donations, and just discuss kind of how the game works. All of our races, though, have been New Game All Story levels, which is also a submission I'm making for SGDQ 2018. But All Weapons has never seen the light of day in a marathon. SGDQ has seen New Game Any Percent, no main menu storage. That's a newer important thing that was added. And it's also seen some all story levels categories, but it has never seen all weapons. So this would be like, an interesting thing to show off. I'm looking forward to showing it off. Anyway, what you're seeing right now is some off-screen rolling. I angled myself in a very specific way, and then I just started rolling without moving myself in any direction. You do roll less far, but you get to just roll straight for however long you can manage it, and that lets you go down that one straight way and get much farther by the time that camera pans to you. So that's the second trick of this level. We're going to see the third after this last auto-scroller. So this is a nice bit of downtime. Everything that I'm doing during these auto-scroller sections is more just to be entertaining. You know, we don't need the experience, we don't need the kills. We do need to take enough damage to get Whiskey in this level, but you can get that pretty much off of one plant toward the end of this auto-scroller. So everything that happens here is just having fun, being entertaining. You'll see I duped that something fancy there. Just like cores, you can duplicate pretty much any item that you can interact with in that way. So you'll see I'm getting Whiskey right now. That's important in order to kill a wallflower in one hit before a second one spawns. By doing that, an invisible wall is going to disappear, which will allow me to roll past the gate to the end of the level. There's the kill, there's the roll, and that's the level. We just need to wait through a little cutscene type things, pick up a letter, and then that will be the end of the level. We're on the way back to the Bastion. So the routing of this category is really interesting because of just how much it sequence breaks. The any percent categories, they do plenty of sequence breaking in terms of just getting more cores than it should have at any one point, but this category is so interesting to me because not only are we like picking up a bunch of cores right away in order to like open up a lot of the world map to us, but then we're also jumping around to all of the levels that have weapons that we need to pick up so that we can get through those, and so we're backtracking like all, you know, from right toward the end of the game to like maybe 2/3 of the way through, stuff like that. It's an interesting route. Anyway, we are now picking up the Galleon Mortar. We're in Mount Zand right now, which is close to the end of the run. This is a pretty short level overall. There is an optional pike vault that you can take, but and that saves a few seconds, but it's pretty risky, which kind of sums up this whole game, really. It's a lot. There's not much RNG in this game, and so pretty much any amount of time save that you're getting is based almost solely on execution, and so that leads to a lot of kind of big-ish tricks and like minor optimizations that save a second here, a few fractions of a second there, and just all of these tricks in order to just keep the seconds down, and you know, stuff that if you miss it can waste like 4 more seconds than you would have gained. Anyway, we're going to Urzendra Gate. Now, there is not a weapon in this one. Similar to Prosper Bluff, there is not a weapon in Urzendra Gate. But this property is true of Urzendra and Prosper Bluff. You have to complete this level in order to open up Zoltan's Hollow. And in the case of Prosper Bluff, you had to complete Prosper in order to open up Wild Outskirts, which you'll remember had the dueling pistols in it. Zoltan's Hollow has the Calamity Cannon, which is going to be the second to last weapon that we pick up. But anyway, some information about this level in particular. This is another level where we're trying to get Whiskey in order to kill a few enemies right toward the end. So all the damage that I'm taking right now is very intentional. I'm picking specific places to get hit by Ura and to fall in order to get Whiskey when I hit the ground right there. That'll let us hike through this debris much more quickly, and then also kill some enemies at the end of the run. Now, at the end of the level. Now this is kind of dangerous because it's very easy to either take a hit that you didn't mean to, or not take a hit that you did mean to. So an interesting thing about trying to make this level work is kind of having a checklist in your head in order so that you can tell what you have and haven't gotten hit by, in order to make sure that you get Were Whiskey when you need it. So we're using the mortar. It kind of works like a a little bit more unwieldy grenade. And we use the Were Whiskey to kill those rattletails in one hit, and we have just finished the level. So now we're going to be heading to Zoltan's Hollow. As I said, our second to last weapon is in this level. That is the Calamity Cannon. And it's right toward the beginning of the level, so it doesn't really affect the route. It doesn't make the route very different from any other category that we do this level in. So, but we'll pick up the Calamity Cannon and then be right on our way. So there's supposed to be these like big walls of Calamity rocks blocking your path, but their hitboxes are miles apart, so you can just kind of roll through all of them. So this this particular level is mostly just movement based. You don't really have to attack anything. You don't have to kill anything. You just kind of have to get through the level. There will be one pike vault that we make in right here in order to get past those barriers right there. But past that, that's really about it for this. I took a fall right there through some ground that looked like it was there. That's one kind of funny thing about how the ground works, is there will be spots that look like there's ground that it just doesn't work. And there will be spots where it looks like there's nothing there, but you can roll right over it. Anyway, I'm being shot by an arrow right now. If you die, you get a chance to carry on, so it wasn't a big deal. Nothing really happened as a result of dying there. But there is a glitch that can happen at the end of that level, where if you die as the screen is transitioning back to the Bastion, to the loading screen, the screen will just be black. You have to do like blind movement in order to get to the Skyway, and you can do it, but it's difficult. Anyway, we are now into our last level of the run. This is a pretty quick run. The estimate is 30 minutes, and that factors in a lot of spaghetti. Anyway, you'll see I just passed by the Fire Bellows, which is the last weapon in the game. That's because the Fire Bellows are terrible. And so we want to have that for as little time as possible. We'll be passing back by that area later in the level, so we'll just pick it up then. I don't want to deal with it in the meantime. But anyway, this is the last core that we have to pick up, the last shard. Funny thing is, you can dupe that shard. It really doesn't matter, because you only need to put 14 in the monument. After that point, the game doesn't care if you still have one in your inventory. So anyway, now I'm picking up the Fire Bellows, and I am sad because of that. I took an unfortunate fall, but you'll see me trying to... Fire Bellows are just not fun. Anyway, that was about it. We're through this level now, and we are about to finish the game. So, once we put our last shard in, we are going to go to the heart of the Bastion. And what we need to do there is interact with both Zia and Rux, but hopefully not talk to them about anything. And then time ends when we choose an ending in the heart of the Bastion. Now, in this case, there's only one ending that we can actually choose, and that ending is Restoration. For some reason, the Evacuation ending, which is supposed to be the other choice, is bound to the Hidebound Journal, which is a collectible that you can pick up in Prosper Bluff, but if you don't pick it up, you can't choose the Evacuation ending for some reason. So anyway, that's the one option we have, and that's the run. So as you can see, there's a whole lot to be said about this game in a very short amount of time. It's very lively, very fast-paced. There's really not much downtime at all, aside from a couple cutscenes and an auto-scroller. And the routing for this category is just really interesting to wrap your head around. I think it's a lot of fun to consider how you're moving through the game in order to finish it. But anyway, that was Bastion, all weapons. I hope that this run piqued your interest. I hope you're interested to see some more of it. Hopefully, you'll consider this game for SGDQ. Thank you so much for your consideration.